Hey AMS department heads, I just want to share a few things with you. We're going to do things a little bit different for this meeting. I'm actually going to have a flipped AMS department head meeting. I want to deliver some information to you today so you can be really thinking about and processing, thinking about what input you want to give for our department head meeting next Tuesday morning starting at 7:45 in the back office conference room. So we're going to give this a whirl, and hopefully this video will help you as you prepare for that meeting. First item on the agenda is our school supply list. I sent out an email earlier for you to be reviewing the school supply list for next year. What I would like for you to do is make recommendations, let your department give some input for school supplies. We don't want to go overboard. We want to keep it very simple. Just make some recommendations, what you want to keep, what you would like to possibly add on there for parents to be able to purchase. Is there something that you just need additional? So be ready for that input on Tuesday morning. I met with Dr. Largent, and each year, each of the principals have to set 3 goals for their entire year. So 2014, I have 3 goals that I want to share with you guys as a department heads and as a campus, and what we're going to be doing as we go forward into 2014. Just so you know, last year's goals were PBL was one of my goals I set in January. We just had the fortunate opportunity of the Buck Institute coming on board with us and partnering with us in May. So we've had the Buck Institute partnering with us since May, and that's where we've carried out our PBL 101 early adopters, and now we're moving on to year 2 of our implementation plan for PBL. My second goal was technology. I have a whole laundry list of things that we've done technology-wise in the last 2 years, and Ms. Donahue, our librarian and media specialist for our campus, has really incorporated a lot of things and helped us incorporate a lot of new devices and a lot of new things for us technology-wise. Our technology committee has been wonderful, and we've worked through some things there. So technology-wise has been great. One of my goals I did not do very well at all on. I told Dr. Largent it was just it was a flop. Basically, it was college readiness. We had some things in the works that never materialized. And so what I want to share with you guys this year, just had my evaluation with him last week, I guess it was. And so I've got 3 goals that I'm going to need your help on, and we're going to be working together on these. And so this is almost going to be like our own PBL as AMS department heads. So here we go. Goal number 1 is PBL. Goal number 2 is 3-week checkpoints. And goal number 3 is going to be spirals incorporated into science classrooms this coming up next year. I'll share a little bit more about that next. Goal number 1. Project-based learning is my first goal for AMS for this 2014 year. Now, these goals are from January to December. I need to note that. It's not necessarily a school calendar year. That is, our goals are during the January to December year. So 2014, my first goal is PBL. The reason I'm keeping that as a goal is because it is such a big initiative for us as a district and for us as teachers. I understand we are really trying to figure out how to fully incorporate our PBL into a scope and sequence and into a testing world that we live in. Ideally, kids are in the classroom, I've always said this, reading, writing, and talking about what they're learning. Now with PBL coming on board, it's just incorporating even more activities and more for them to do. So I'm keeping it on the forefront as a goal. Number 1, for me to be able to help support all of our PBL trained participants in collaboration and coming together in meeting times and everything that we could do to support one another. That's why I'm keeping it on the forefront. Number 2 is because I want to keep it on the forefront for our students. I want them to know that, hey, this is a 21st century way of learning, and so many things are moving that direction. If you have not been to Rhonda Kofer's classroom yet, you need to go in there. You need to see the setup of the classroom. You need to see what the students are doing in there, And that's just kind of a small world of where our kids are, even career-wise in the workforce. So PBL is going to be on the forefront. That is one of our goals and for this next year. And we'll certainly keep with our showcase, our small showcase that we had this past December. We'll do things like that again. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I want to make this very seamless. I want it to make where we're really supporting each other throughout the process and still being able to follow our scope and still being able to crank out some good test scores for our students. So remember PBL, that's goal number 1. Okay, goal number 2. This is where I'm really going to need your help. 3-week checkpoints in each core content classroom, incorporating 5 to 10 questions in these checkpoints with questions based on Star 1 from the Star 1 test bank. All core classes will each 3 weeks incorporate it's not a common assessment, but it's a common checkpoint together for students. Here's the way I envision it looking. I would like for each of our core content teachers to be able to be trained in Star 1 in the test bank. I really would like for us to dive into that, learn more about it, try to be pulling questions from that test bank. Each 3 weeks, I would like for us as, for example, Texas history. Texas history, our 2 teachers in 7th grade, to pull 5 to 10 questions from that test bank, test our students, call them checkpoints, disaggregate that data for each classroom, or for every student, for every classroom, for every grade level, or all your classes. Look and see how the data looks. Be able to have conversations for how your class is doing, how your students are doing, how they're performing based on the scope. And so we're just wanting to keep everything aligned. I will tell you right now, I had a real big revelation because last spring, I was very big on we have too many common assessments that are given to us in the fall, and they're big common assessments. They take too much of our time away from instruction. Our district curriculum coordinators are having to fully write these exams, and they're spending too much time on it. Well, now after a few CARA meetings and to see we just aren't having checkpoints enough, I think we need to have more conversations to keep everyone in line. So what I want to do is have 3-week checkpoints. Now, here's the kicker. We need to know, what do you need to be able to have this successful? So my thought is that I don't want to change a whole lot for what you're already doing. We've already got the scope in place. You're already doing so many of those things that are going to be aligned with your grade level and content area. What I want to be able to do is just take that and formalize it in a way, if you will. So let's talk more about that at department head meeting. 3-week checkpoints, all core content classes. Be thinking of questions and be thinking of need to knows for what we can do to make that successful. Last goal. Goal number 3. Math department, we're going to put your teaching skills to the test. I want to bring and incorporate over our spirals into our science classrooms the first 10-minute bell ringers or our first 10-minute spirals from math to science. So what does that look like? What does that mean? That's goal number 3. I want math department to be able to share with the science department how they're doing it, almost give like a mini little demonstration, if you will, on top of just talking through how the process went. Science department, what I'd like to do is this spring, we're going to get each of you into the math rooms so you can see what the UPS is, what the 10-minute spiral is, and be thinking of ways that you can incorporate that spiral into science. Just most recently, we talked a lot about the different equations that the students were struggling with, speed, velocity, mass, and those equations that the kids really struggle with. So how can we incorporate those spirals to have quick reviews and also to be able to let kids talk about what they're doing and incorporate those spirals into the science classroom? So there again, be thinking of what do we need to know for our spirals to be incorporated into science, Texas history, and ELA. This is going to be a great opportunity for you guys to learn a little bit about how David Molina has impacted our math department through these spirals. So with that being said, that is goal number 3, incorporating spirals into the science classrooms. All right, you've heard the 3 goals now. You know exactly what we're looking at, what we'll be working towards. So here is the driving question for AMS department heads. Here's what you need to be thinking of. What can we do as a campus to help make these 3 goals a success for 2014? What is it that we need to know? What are the need to knows for these goals and for these new initiatives coming up? We have a lot of time this spring to work towards it, and even a lot of time this spring to get ready for summer work and to incorporate some of these things into the fall. So, department head meeting coming up. What you need to know, need to knows, and how we can incorporate these goals into 2014. Thanks so much for letting me do the flipped meeting. I hope this information is helpful for you to really be thinking about before we come together on Tuesday. Have a super Pirate Day. Thank you.